The galaxy had long depended on humans. They were not the strongest race, nor the fastest, nor the most numerous. Yet somehow humans always managed to make a difference. Their curiosity, courage, and stubbornness had carried them through wars, disasters, and negotiations that other species thought impossible. For centuries, the Galactic Council had relied on humanity as the voice of reason. They mediated disputes, solved problems, and explored regions that others avoided. No one could deny it. Humans were different. Captain Laura Pierce stood on the bridge of the Terran command station orbiting Earth. Outside, the stars glittered cold and distant as if mocking the galaxy below. Laura looked at the holographic display showing the positions of human fleets across the outer systems. Each blip represented ships ready to move at a moment's notice. Yet today no one would move outward. Today humanity would retreat. Status report, Laura said, her voice steady. She had spent years training for this moment, though she had never imagined it would come. Lieutenant Ryan Clark looked up from the console. All stations are reporting green, Captain. Fleet movements are complete. Ambassador ships are en route back to Earth. Trade networks are shutting down as planned. Laura nodded. The plan had been in motion for months, though no one in the council suspected it. Humans were supposed to be part of the galaxy forever. Everyone believed that Earth would always answer the council's calls. They were wrong. Darren Holt, former ambassador to the Galactic Council, stood in a private observation chamber. His face was pale, his hands clasped behind his back. He had spent decades as humanity's voice in alien politics. He knew every protocol, every expectation, and now he watched it all crumble. Do they even realize what we are doing? He whispered to himself. He remembered the countless meetings, the endless debates, and the constant pressure from alien representatives. Some had called humans arrogant. Others said they were reckless. Still, Darren had always believed that humans were patient and smart. But now, after centuries of being used as the galaxy's problem solvers, humanity had had enough. Across the galaxy, the Council began to notice the signs. Reports came in of empty trade stations, silent research colonies, and unresponsive human fleets. For a moment, the Council thought it was a mistake, a glitch, or perhaps a hidden threat. But soon the truth became clear. Humans were leaving. The first worlds to feel the impact were the border systems. Without human engineers to maintain infrastructure, stations fell into disrepair. Supplies stopped arriving. Minor disputes between alien colonies escalated into open conflict. Ships were attacked on trade routes that humans once patrolled. Within weeks, the Council realized the scale of what was happening. Ambassador Tallier of the Jelka furrowed his forehead. How can this be? Humans do not leave. It is not in their nature. Councillor Ralith of the Voss growled. Then we are blind. They may be leaving, but we do not know why. We must act before it is too late. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Captain Pierce watched a convoy of ambassador ships disappear into slipspace. They carried humans who had lived among aliens for decades, people who had learned foreign languages, cultures, and customs. They were the bridge between Earth and the galaxy, and now they were gone. Do we inform the Council? Asked Lieutenant Clark, hesitant. Laura shook her head. No, not yet. Humanity has spoken before. This time we act in silence. They will see the consequences soon enough. The evacuation was careful and precise. Human intelligence had mapped every system, every fleet, every station that would be affected. Not a single detail was left to chance. Cities on other worlds that depended on human trade were abandoned with supplies left for months, but only enough to survive temporarily. Humans were leaving quietly, but they were not careless. Darren walked along the halls of Luna's hidden city, thinking about the decisions that had led here. He remembered the warnings humanity had given over the centuries. The Council dismissed them as paranoia. Humans had said that greed and ambition would lead to war. Humans had said that species could not always be trusted. Now the Council would feel the truth of those words. In the outer sectors, the first signs of disruption appeared. Minor skirmishes broke out among alien factions that had always relied on humans to keep the peace. Planets that once thrived under human guidance began to struggle. It was subtle at first. A delay in shipments, a communication blackout, but it grew rapidly. On a small station orbiting the planet Eris, engineers argued over missing supplies. Where are the human transports? One of them shouted. They were supposed to arrive 3 days ago. Another shook his head. I do not know. All channels are silent. The Council cannot help. We have to manage on our own. The news spread quickly. Everywhere. The absence of humanity created fear and confusion. Species that had depended on humans began to look inward, questioning their alliances and their security. Some panicked, others tried to take advantage, but no one knew what to do. Meanwhile, deep in the Sol system, humans worked quietly. On Mars, massive construction projects had been underway for decades, hidden from alien eyes. Shield grids, orbital defense platforms, and fleet depots were activated. These preparations had been made not for war with the Council, but for protection from threats the galaxy refused to acknowledge. Laura stood in the command center as the last ambassador ship left the system. She felt a mixture of relief and unease. Humanity had chosen its path, but she knew the galaxy would not forgive them easily. The Council would be forced to deal with the consequences of ignoring human warnings. Darren joined her, his expression grim. "Do you think they will understand?" he asked. Laura shook her head. "They will not understand. They never do. But they will survive, if they learn quickly." Even as the humans withdrew, there were still those who hoped for communication. Alien ships patrolled the borders of human space, sending messages that went unanswered. The silence was complete. For the first time in history, the galaxy had no human guidance, no humans to mediate, no humans to prevent disaster. On Earth, life continued normally, or as normally as it could. People went to work, children played in parks, and cities bustled with energy. But beneath the surface, the hidden fleets and secret bases hummed with readiness. Humanity had not abandoned the galaxy entirely. They were watching, waiting, and preparing. Across the Council worlds, rumors spread like wildfire. What was happening? Why had the humans left? Some speculated that Earth had been attacked. Others thought humans had finally given up on diplomacy. Fear and uncertainty grew. The galaxy had relied on humans for so long that their absence felt like a sudden collapse of the universe itself. Darren spent his days reviewing intelligence reports, mapping the emerging chaos. He saw worlds tearing themselves apart, trade collapsing, fleets clashing. He could not intervene. He could only watch, and he knew that the moment of reckoning would come. One evening, as the stars shone coldly outside the lunar observation window, Laura Pierce stood in silence. She thought about the humans she had led, the decisions she had made, and the galaxy that was slowly unraveling. Humanity had withdrawn for a reason, and they would not return until the time was right. For now, the Council would struggle alone. The silence of humanity weighed heavily on the galaxy. The Galactic Council had never faced a challenge like this. Humans had always been the steady hand, the voice of reason, and the bridge between rival species. Without them, old tensions surfaced quickly, spreading across the stars like wildfire. On the Council planet of Virelia, Counselor Talir of the Jelka slammed his claws on the conference table. "These humans are gone, and with them our peace crumbles," his voice echoed through the chamber. Alien representatives shifted nervously. The room, usually calm and orderly, felt like a battlefield. Counselor Ralith of the Voss growled low. "We cannot wait for them to return. We must act. Resources are being stolen. Border conflicts are erupting. Systems are collapsing." "No," said Talir, his eyes narrowing. "If we act without caution, we risk war among ourselves. The humans always warned us. Now they are gone, and we must face the consequences." Meanwhile, on a remote trading hub orbiting the gas giant Pharion, ships that once carried goods from human colonies drifted aimlessly. Trade routes that had functioned for decades broke down. Merchants argued over missing shipments. Pirates took advantage of the chaos, attacking undefended convoys. For the first time in generations, life without humans felt dangerous. On Eris, a small industrial planet, workers tried to maintain the food production systems. Supplies from Earth had kept their population fed for years. Now shipments had stopped. Emergency rations were scarce, and tensions rose among the citizens. Arguments became fights. Leaders pleaded with the Council for help, but messages went unanswered. Humans had cut all connections. Back on Earth, Captain Laura Pierce watched the events unfold from the command center. The reports were clear. Everywhere humans had been involved, systems were now failing. Conflicts that had been minor before were escalating into full-scale battles. She said nothing. She had expected this. Humanity had warned the Council, but they had not listened. Lieutenant Ryan Clark leaned over the console. "Captain, it's spreading faster than we thought. The Tahrin and the Voss have already clashed over mining rights in Sector 7-9. Casualties are reported on both sides. Laura's face remained calm. Yes, it was inevitable. Humans have left to observe. They will learn the consequences and perhaps they will change. Our job is not to intervene yet. Our job is to be ready. In the outer reaches, fleets that had once been under human supervision now faced one another without guidance. Minor disputes over resources turned deadly. Planetary defenses were ignored or mismanaged. Several systems reported the destruction of critical infrastructure. In many cases, entire colonies struggled to survive. Darren Holt, living quietly on Luna, watched the chaos through secret intelligence channels. He had once spoken for humanity, and now he was a silent witness to the consequences of their withdrawal. His heart ached as he saw systems he had helped build crumble. He remembered the Council's arrogance. They had dismissed human warnings for decades. Ilari scientist Lyrian contacted Darren secretly through secure channels. "It is worse than predicted," she said. Her tone was filled with fear. "The Council cannot manage this. They are collapsing into disarray. Humans were right." "They always were." Darren nodded. "I know, but humanity will not intervene yet. They are waiting. They always act on their own terms." On the Zelka homeworld, Councillor Tullier called an emergency assembly. Every major representative was present, yet no one had answers. Fear hung in the air. "We cannot function without humans," he admitted quietly. "They were the foundation of our council, and now they are gone." Ralith stood and slammed a fist on the table. "Then we rebuild, we adapt. But we cannot survive without their knowledge. We have ignored the warnings for too long, and now we pay the price." On the trading hub near Ferion, tensions boiled into violence. Pirates attacked convoys that had been protected by human fleets for decades. Merchants armed themselves, but they were no match. Entire shipments vanished overnight. Civil unrest followed, and minor skirmishes became organized raids. In secret, the humans watched. Through hidden sensors, Earth observed every sector of the galaxy. They saw the Council scramble, watched fleets fight without strategy, and recorded the slow collapse of systems that once prospered under their guidance. They did not intervene. Not yet. On Mars, Captain Pierce walked among the command centers, reviewing the data with careful eyes. "It is spreading as expected," she said. "By the time the Council understands, they will have no choice but to face reality. We have prepared for this, and nothing will surprise us." Lieutenant Clark frowned. "Some of these species are already blaming us, Captain. They say humans abandoned them intentionally. Do we risk appearing cruel?" Laura shook her head. "They will learn the truth. This is not cruelty. This is observation. They have been warned for generations. Now they must see what happens without human guidance." In distant star systems, the lack of human presence created confusion that the Council could not contain. Minor technical failures caused chain reactions. Energy grids collapsed, communication networks went dark, and navigation systems failed. Hundreds of worlds experienced shortages, and panic spread like a virus. On Eris, the planetary governor tried to calm citizens. "The humans will return," he said to the crowd, though he did not know it himself. "They always help us. They will solve this." But whispers of fear grew louder. Many did not believe him. For the first time, humans had truly disappeared from the lives of other species, and the silence was deafening. Back on Luna, Darren Holt reviewed reports from Council members who had sent secret envoys to Earth. None of their messages had been answered. The humans had fully withdrawn. Every planet they had touched now faced the consequences of a galaxy without guidance. Lyrian's voice came over the secure channel again. "I fear what will happen next. The Council will fracture completely if this continues. Trade disputes will turn into wars. The alliances we built may be destroyed in months, not years." Darren nodded, staring at the holographic map of the galaxy. "And humanity watches. We warned them, we helped them, and they ignored it. Now they must see what comes from their decisions." On Earth, the civilians carried on unaware. Children played in parks, workers went to factories, and markets bustled with life. But beneath the surface, hidden fleets, shield grids, and strategic bases remained active. Humanity had prepared for this moment, and they were ready for any eventuality. Captain Pierce stood in the command center, looking at the reports from across the galaxy. She knew the Council would struggle and many worlds would suffer. But this was necessary. The galaxy had relied too long on humans. They had ignored warnings and made careless decisions. Now they would face the results of their own choices. "Everything is moving according to plan," she said quietly to herself. "The Council will learn. The galaxy will survive. but only if it understands what humans are capable of and what they can endure. Meanwhile, chaos spread faster than anyone had expected. Systems that once depended on human logistics fell into disarray. Starports were abandoned, fleets were mismanaged, and resources became scarce. Each incident fueled more panic. Civil unrest, border skirmishes, and outright conflicts became common across dozens of systems. Yet humans did not interfere. They had stepped back deliberately, leaving the galaxy to face the consequences. Every action, every collapse, every failure was recorded in hidden archives on Earth. Humanity watched, calculated, and waited. They were silent observers of their own creations unraveling. Even Darren Holt, who had once argued passionately for human involvement, could do nothing. He could only witness the Council struggle, fleets clash, and worlds falter. Every failure reminded him of humanity's wisdom, patience, and foresight. The Council had been warned repeatedly, and still they had ignored the signs. On Mars, Lieutenant Clark checked the status of the orbital defense network. "Captain, supply lines to colonies in the outer sectors are failing. Some colonies are already facing famine. Communication breakdowns are widespread." Laura Pierce nodded slowly. "Then let them learn. Every world that suffers now will understand the cost of ignoring humanity. We will remain ready to protect ourselves, and we will observe every consequence. This is the lesson they needed." And so the galaxy continued to struggle. Without human guidance, old rivalries and hidden tensions surfaced. Wars broke out over resources, minor disputes escalated into battles, and entire colonies faced shortages that threatened their survival. The Council tried to manage, but it was too late. Humanity's absence had created a vacuum no other species could fill. From hidden stations on the Moon and Mars to deep space fleets waiting in silence, humans watched the galaxy carefully. They did not act. They did not intervene. They had withdrawn completely, leaving the Council and its member species to survive or fail on their own. The lesson was clear. Humans had been the stabilizing force of the galaxy. Without them, chaos spread quickly, and the Council's influence waned. Every failure, every conflict, every breakdown was a reminder of what had been lost. And still, humanity remained silent, waiting for the galaxy to understand.